49ers Ultimate Report. This is John J., your 49ers reporter, opinionist, analyst, and die-hard fans. Also with the shades today, bringing out the shades today. Hopefully you guys enjoy these cool shades. But besides that, welcome to another episode of the 49ers Ultimate Report. You know what day it is. It is Thursday. It is our weekly 49ers talk show known as the Candlestick Point Report. This guy needs no introductions. Let's just bring him in and say what's up to Shifty.
John, good to see you, man. Another episode of the Candlestick Report. Man, there's a lot to talk about. So, I can't wait to jump in. And obviously, it's good to see we got some people in the chat and the comments already. So, love it, man. It's a good day.
Yep. And shout out to those 49er fans who still represent the 49ers in the city of San Francisco, just like both of us. There's still a lot of us, very few podcasters, but it's always great to build this community knowing that there's still fans out here just like me and my boy Shifty, and that's why we decided to do this every single week. We're going to talk some 49ers football, always talk about some great things as well. But one of the things that we have noticed is while we were doing the Candlestick Point Report, it is Thursday. It is the first week, the first game of Thursday Night Football. So I want to get your thoughts on the Thursday night game. So Shifty, I know this is a 49ers talk show, but it's a Thursday night football. So we do have to talk about the Thursday night football game. What's your thoughts on this Thursday night football game?
So it's Pittsburgh and Cleveland. I think this would normally be like an AFC North, like historic battle. But this year it feels a little bit different because, the Steelers, their new quarterback, Mitch Trubisky, they drafted Kenny Pickett, but the big thing is the star players aren't there. No TJ Watt. He's one of the best pass rushers. Him, Nick Bosa, Myles Garrett. But speaking of Myles Garrett, he plays for the Cleveland Browns, so he'll be out there. But of course, we all know what's going on with the whole Deshaun Watson thing. Don't think we need to get into that. So it feels like there's a lot of star players missing. But hey, this is always a historic battle between two franchises that really don't like each other. I don't think this game is going to be a great one, to be honest. I think it might be a pretty, ugly game. A lot of running the football, defense. But we'll see what happens. You never know. We've seen some crazy Thursday night games. So we'll see what happens. In this one, I kind of like Cleveland to win the game, but we'll see what happens,
Yeah. Cleveland versus the Steelers. And I was able to watch the Steelers last week against the Patriots, and Bill Belichick, no matter what you say about him, he knows how to make quality defenses, and the Steelers really looked flat. They weren't taking a lot of shots. Probably Mitchell Trubisky was taking probably like 10, 15-yard shots, but he wasn't going really deep because everything was being taken away from the deep stuff and everything was covered. The Browns, on the other hand, this is a very confusing team. Of course, they had Baker Mayfield. Now they went to Deshaun Watson. He's not playing, as you said. We don't have to get into that. But Jacoby Brissett isn't a bad quarterback. Now, of course, he's not an elite quarterback. But when he was in Indianapolis, he did pretty good after Andrew Luck left. But wasn't winning a lot of games. But this is going to be a very interesting game for me. Again, I don't really have a prediction on who's going to win this game. If I do have to pick a team, I'm going to choose the Steelers because I think they're the better team on paper. But just because there's a team that's better on paper, it doesn't mean that those teams are going to win. So that's my thoughts on this Thursday night football game. And also, I'm going to be a little bit honest. I'm not really interested in this game because I don't watch Cleveland or Steelers games. There are games that I am interested in. There's some games I'm not going to watch this Thursday night game, but I'm going to check it out. I'm going to see what what is going to be, but I'll probably get bored after a while. And you never know, maybe Cleveland can win the game. Anything is possible. So yeah. All right, let's say what's up to the chat because we've been getting some comments in the chat, and this is the Denver Broncos fan. So I know he's pumped up. He's been talking all off season that his team is better than the 49ers, and hopefully this time, this Broncos fan doesn't get as lucky like the Bears fan who was in here because his team beat our team. But what's up, Dylan Miller, the GOAT? He says, what's up, everybody? Of course, it is the GOAT, Bryant. This guy right here, the OG of the 49er fan. What's up, Bryant? Thanks for tuning in. John J. Shifty, let's go. It's going to be a good show. Shout out to Bryant, the OG of the
Shout out to
49ers.
Bryant.
Yep, OG. Dylan says, good luck week 3. Should be a good game. If your coaching doesn't do as bad as it has the last 2 weeks. Yeah. And shout out to Dylan Miller, the GOAT. Dylan Miller, the GOAT. We'll see who wins. All right. Then we got Damien Lee out in the great state of Texas. Shifty, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever been to the state of Texas?
I'm going to say no. I've only had a layover in an airport there, so I don't think that doesn't count.
Yeah. So one day, if I ever am in Texas, I have to bump into Damien Lee, who's another GOAT, but he has to deal with those pesky Cowboy fans. Luckily, here in the Bay Area, all we have to worry about are the Raider fans because they're still a headache. What's up, Damien Lee? Dylan says, letting y'all know, you guys are going against a team that thinks it's what do you say? It's logical to be first and goal, pass the 5 and go in shotgun every play. Are your coaches damn, my dyslexic is showing today. Oh, man. What's up? All right, Dylan. My bad. I'm having issues pronouncing the words today. That one of those tough days. But yeah, I'm not worried about the Niners coaches. I do worry about Kyle sometimes. Crazy Jew says, Sup John J and Shifty. Crazy Jew's out in the great area of LA. Also, have you ever been to LA, Shifty?
Yeah, I've spent some time in LA. It's nice. You know, I prefer it up here, but I think LA is nice.
Yeah. Maybe next time you go to LA, you'll bump into Crazy Jews.
Never know. You never know.
Yep. Niners all day, baby. True. Niners all damn day. This is the best one, the best name. 2 mediocre QB tonight.
Yeah.
True. And then, of course, I know you don't want to hear this, but it's the Chicago sports fan. I don't know if you have anything, if you want to say to the Chicago sports fan, Shifty.
Hey, you know, I think I just say kudos on week 1. Yeah, I mean, they lost bad against Green Bay, but kudos on week 1. And, you know, just I think we move on with our seasons, and I wish Chicago the best of luck going forward. Why not?
Chicago Sports Talk says, I picked the Broncos to win on my pick 'em because Wilson owns the 49ers. Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that comment?
Oh, do I agree? I don't think so. I mean, I think that I'm picking the Niners to win the game, and I don't think it's just because I'm a Niner fan, but yeah, that the coaching in Denver is looking. I mean, some people are calling for their coach to be fired already. He looks kind of lost out there, like a deer in headlights.
Yep. Dylan says, whoever wins this week, it won't be luck. I think whoever the better team is will win. I think we have a chance. Yep. I think every team has a chance. Wilson is on a new team. The past has nothing to do with this game. Niners have a great offense. We'll have, and we're going to talk about the offense, how it looks now without Trey Lance. But I want to get your thoughts on the injury. I know it's been a few days, to look at it. Everyone has, put the blame on somebody. People saying Trey, should not have done that. Kyle should not have called that. And there's a lot of blame game. People are blaming everybody, but we are not here in the blame game. We just want to know your thoughts, your opinion. So one of the biggest injuries, and we're also talking about a few other injuries, but the biggest injury last week was Trey Lance is out for the year with an ankle injury. We found out it was much worse than what they talked about. There was a fracture, dislocation, and I forgot I think it was the tibia as well. Again, I don't have all the injury reports on Trey Lance, but I want to get your thoughts on Trey Lance about this injury, and what do you think could have been done better for Trey Lance not to get hurt?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel really bad for Trey. He's a guy who really needs the reps. All off season long, he had to deal with stuff. Basically, it was Jimmy Garoppolo. When's he going to get traded? And then Jimmy Garoppolo gets the surgery. Then it's the whole thing with Debo Samuel. There was that whole off season drama and saga, and then it was like, oh, and Jimmy's kind of maybe coming back. Is it Trey's team? We basically, Kyle Shanahan officially hands the reins to Trey Lance. But it's all like, whoa, how's it going to go with Jimmy in the locker room? So for a kid who's like 22 years old, he's been he's been really, really professional, really mature, which I love. Trey Lance's like mentality, and just the way he handles himself is really impressive, especially for a younger quarterback. I don't think many quarterbacks could have handled it as well as he did. And, then you have like the kind of rough game against Chicago week 1. Of course, we all know about how the weather was. And then week 2, we start, I think we're moving the ball up and down the field with Trey Lance. So things are looking good. Maybe he's going to build some confidence. And then, of course, then there's that, play, runs it up the middle. Ankle injury, of course, now he's out I just feel really bad for him. Number one, like I think he was going to start getting into a groove. So I feel bad for him, as like a person, as an athlete. And then, I kind of feel bad for the team as well, because I think, right now, I think Jimmy and Trey, in terms of like ability to win, are probably very like right on, par with one another. But I think ultimately the ceiling with Trey is like way higher. So obviously I don't ever wish any player to get hurt. But especially a guy like Trey Lance. And, as for like maybe who's to blame, or, I don't blame Kyle Shanahan necessarily. Was I a huge fan of all the calls? Not necessarily, but in that play, we know that it was like an RPO, and maybe Trey should have handed it off, or, and there's all these what ifs, like what if Trey was in the pocket and a defensive end takes out his knee and then he's out for the year with an ACL or whatever. But at the end of the day, I think that Kyle does need to adjust his coaching a little bit. I don't think Trey should be running 4 or 5 times in the first quarter. I don't really care if it's an RPO or not. But because it's a long season. So I overall, I just think it's bad luck, and I just feel bad for Trey.
Yeah. 100%. Like, this is football. Players are going to get hurt. Players are going to get hurt. Unfortunately, the Niners, we get hurt all the time, and it's no longer a joke anymore. Now this is a very serious thing, that when it comes to our injuries, is that if you're a 49er fan, you have to expect players are going to get injured. And as long as Kyle's on this team and the way he coaches his players, there's going to be injuries. So there's a reason why people are blaming Kyle. There's also people are blaming Trey. You can't be Lamar Jackson. And again, social media is a funny place. For those who live in social media, I would not recommend it. I think that I would stay away from social media, because people are going to be, very emotional, put out their opinions exactly when something happens. So social media, when you're upset or angry, I would, put the device away and stay away from it for a day, where you can calm down and have level head. But this is the thing for me when it comes to Trey Lance. I was a big Trey Lance supporter, and watching all his snaps, all the games that he played, the way he has been used, I'm starting to realize that the Josh Allen comparison from the media was a bad comparison. And unfortunately, we have learned is that Trey Lance does not have the speed that the other mobile quarterbacks have. He's much slower. The way he runs hard, he runs tough, he runs to the tackles. So I went back to the tape, and I was looking at, what is Trey Lance? What is the best way to describe him? Well, I started to realize the Steve McNair, the running power, but another quarterback, which probably a lot of fans don't want me to say this, is Cam Newton. Cam Newton, a mixture of Cam Newton, mixture of Steve McNair, is the comparison of Trey Lance. So this is one of the things which has become scary, and why I started to realize that maybe they overanalyzed the kid, maybe they over scouted him, and maybe they thought a little bit more than they wanted to. And Kyle has to start to realize that Now this kid's going to be not playing another season in the NFL. Next year will be year 3 of a 4-year deal. And if he pans out in year 3 and then year 4, it's going to be a little bit very costly or it can also be a little bit of a bad thing. We do not know what Trey is anymore. So that's one thing about Trey Lance. And I wish him a speedy recovery. He's not a bust for anyone who says that. But now here's the real question. If you're a 49er fan, do you tank or do you win with Jimmy? And some people are saying, I would rather tank with Jimmy than win with Jimmy. And I'm going to say this very, very harsh, very critical, hard take. If you're a 49er fan and you want this team to tank, I'm going to ask you respectfully to join the Raiders, okay? Because we do not need fans jumping ship because Trey Lance is no longer the quarterback. So I wanted to say that, and I don't know if you agree with me, Shifty, but I'm going to support the 49ers. Jimmy, no Jimmy. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I can never watch a game, like especially when how good the team is, even Trey or no Trey. I could never watch like the team and root for them to lose. I mean, I couldn't do it. I couldn't be happy if we throw an interception or if, that just not in my nature, we're still a very, very competitive team. Like, I think we're a better team than last year. And we almost got to the Super Bowl. Like, we were a couple plays away, really. So I don't see why I don't see any reason why we can't even go back to the Super Bowl, even with this team. So if people are rooting to lose, I'm like, I kind of agree. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you wasting your time? Like, what's the deal? Yeah, I mean, we're a good team. Trey's going to come back. And, I'd like to think that, I mean, we know Shanahan's stubborn, but I'd like to think maybe he'll, reanalyze how he, game plans with Trey Lance. And I think Trey Lance does need to be more of a quarterback. That's what he is. He is a quarterback. My whole opinion always with Trey Lance is like maybe like once or twice a game, you could have like a design run for him. But I always thought that he should be a quarterback and then that he should be the guy where like, yeah, if the pocket breaks down, maybe he scrambles, picks up 5 yards, slides, doesn't take a big hit. Watching him in North Dakota State, that was always my one big critique is that he was just taking a lot of big hits and he was a lot of the times he was dishing it out too. But I'm like, this is the NFL. So, this isn't North Dakota State. Like there's big guys who are faster and stronger and bigger. So you can't be doing that. If you want to last, and I do want him to last. And I think he's going to be really good. He just needs some time, but yeah, just a shame really,
Yeah. So we got a bunch of comments. I'm going to go through them quickly. Dylan said his personal opinion. All right, hold on. All right. Personal opinion. Trey Lance was looking like a bust. I disagree, Dylan. Crazy Juice says, I blame the turf, and I'm gonna agree with Crazy Juice when it comes to the Levi's turf, but that's a conversation for another day. David Villa, there you go. Say, what's up, Faithful and Shifty and John J. Wonderful. Shout out to David. Niners. Oh, damn, Days. I got 50 on the Niners. Broncos are pretenders. Wow. Damn. And I kind of want to agree with the Niners all damn day, but I'm going to look at all the comments quickly. Chicago says, I do agree that Kyle is not using Trey. Yeah, true. Like
Agreed.
you talked about this guy, he's under center, he play actions. You were talking about this, why you picked him up. And all you do are all these design runs. And it doesn't make any sense, but I'm going to digress. Dylan says, Broncos only real issue as far as goal line success. All right. Yep. And coaching. All right. Niners. Oh, damn. They says the problem is scoring 16 points a game. 16 points a game. All right. All right. We got the Steelers fan in the house. We got the Steelers fan, Chad. What's up, guys? And good luck on your team, man. Good luck on your team. David says, what's up, Juice? I think the play is Rio Grassfield. Yep. Yeah. All right. Dylan says, we have 70%. We have a 70% stat of getting to the goal line. Okay. Let's move on with that. All right. Talking about Patrick Surtain. That's what PS2 stands for. All right. Crazy Juice says Trey will bounce back. True. Crazy Juice also said, yeah, I don't want to any games. I don't know what that means. All right. David says, no tanking. We stay faithful. Always. Yep.
Yep.
100%. You will always, always support your team. Like, even if your team is 0-17 or 17-0 and you win the Super Bowl. Again, and I understand the frustration with Jimmy Garoppolo. But if you call yourself a 49er fan, support the team. Support the team. I know I did support the team from 2005, those dark days. Actually, let's put from 2003 before Harbaugh showed up. Those were some dark days, and I still turned the game on and I still watched the game. Sometimes by myself because most of my friends, were bandwagons. When we started winning, my home was packed with fans, and then when Harbaugh left, I was me by myself. I watched the game even by myself. Chicago Sports Talk says tanking doesn't help any team. Look at the Dolphins. Damn,
Right.
taking a shot at the Dolphins. Oh man. Niners. Oh damn, they said PS2 will be on.
I love it.
Yep. Brian
He
says
might
we
not play.
definitely need to beat the Broncos. True, true, true. All right. Now let's talk about our running back room, and it's got a bit smaller again, but now we have three running backs. When the season started, Jeff Wilson was number 2. Jordan Mason was at the bottom of the depth chart. Now Marlon Mack is on the active roster. We signed Tevin Coleman, but I want to ask you this question. I want to get your thoughts on the running backs. Are you worried with how Kyle overworks his running backs, or for whatever the reason these running backs are getting hurt? So I want to get your thoughts on this running back room. Of course, Jeff Wilson, Jordan Mason, and Marlon Mack are the active running backs on your roster. So I want to get your thoughts on, why these running backs are dropping like flies.
I don't know. I really don't. Maybe it's. I mean, I don't know what Kyle Shanahan does differently in his run game than other coaches do that would specifically cause players to get hurt. I just wonder if some of the players that we have, I mean, maybe they're just a little bit injury prone. I mean, we saw Elijah Mitchell last year. He missed some games. That game against Chicago, of course, the weather was awful, and then he took a pretty big hit to his knees. So I wasn't surprised that Mitchell got hurt when that hit happened, but I don't know if it's just a combination of injury prone players, maybe the way that we set up our run schemes, and then just, unfortunately just bad luck. But looking at the guys that we do have, Jeff Wilson Jr., of course, we know him. He's been around the team for a number of years. Just a very solid back. I do like the way he plays. There's times where he, looks like he might be stopped for like a 2-yard gain. Then he's able to, break a tackle or get up and turn it into a 5-yard gain, which can be a really big deal. I'm actually really excited to see Jordan Mason. We saw a lot in preseason, a lot of good things in training camp too. I wish it was under different circumstances. I'm not happy that Mitchell's hurt or TDP's hurt, but I'm excited to see Jordan Mason. And then Marlon Mack, there was speculation last year we might trade for him. So clearly, I think we had interest. We picked him up. He's got a weaker, now about 2 weeks by the time the game rolls around where he'll be in the building. So I don't think we'll see too much of him. Maybe we'll see him run somewhat, but I doubt we'll see him on third downs just because of, not still getting familiar with pass protection schemes and that kind of thing. But overall, I still think it's a pretty good running back room. And at the end of the day, when it comes to Kyle Shanahan, he's turned no-name guys into, big time players. I think we remember when he was in Washington, Alfred Morris had 1,700 yards or 1,600 yards. So it's a bummer that, of course, that players get hurt. But I still think our run game should be fine. I'm excited to see Jordan Mason. And then, I'm happy that we brought back Tevin Coleman too. I think maybe down in a couple of weeks' time, because we'll probably have another injury that we know what he can do as well. So, but I think it's still I think our run game should be fine.
Yeah. David says our defense is a different beast this year, and we got Talanoa Ufunga. I want to get your thoughts on Talanoa Ufunga. What is Shifty's thoughts on Talanoa Ufunga?
He's been incredible. I think you could argue that Hufanga or Bosa has been our best defensive player. Hufanga had the interception week 1. I don't know. I think he had like 3 tackles for loss in week 1 too. And you think about it, like people statistically, everyone talks sacks, and of course it's an important stat, but a tackle for loss could be just as valuable, if not more valuable. Like you think about if quarterback gets sacked and maybe on the sack he only loses a yard or two, but a tackle for loss, maybe it's a 3 or 4 yard loss. So a tackle for loss could be a bigger deal. But anyways, we know that Hufanga was able to tip the ball in week 2, which led to the Tashawn Gibson interception. He's just been everywhere. Like he's been awesome. And here's the thing. I mean, look, we know that he's going to get even better, but not only that, think about this. Oh, in week 5, who's coming back? Oh, Jimmy Ward is coming back. And here's another funny thing that I just thought of recently too was I remember there was that at the start of training camp, there was that video clip and it's Jimmy Ward and Hufanga, right? And they're talking about like, oh, best safety duo in the NFL. And here's the thing. I think at the time we were like, oh, I mean, they're just saying that, they're being confident. But it actually could be the best safety duo in the NFL, which is crazy to think just because of Hufanga's been like our defensive MVP. You could absolutely argue. He's been great.
Yep. Also, I wanted to remind everybody while the show is going on, ask your questions. If you have any questions for Shifty about anything, leave your comments, leave your questions in the chat as well. So I wanted to remind everybody that you guys can still ask your questions even while we're talking about the topics. All right, now we're going to have the biggest, this is probably going to divide the 49ers fan base, but I'm going to still ask this question. So after Trey Lance got hurt, the media in less than 24 hours, not even before the game ended, the Niners are a better team with Jimmy Garoppolo. And I have a lot to say about this, so I'm going to let you, put your opinions about it. But even a lot of people who talk about the 49ers start to realize Jimmy has always made this team a Super Bowl team. But there was a word that was in one of those radio shows in the Bay Area. They called it NFL politics, meaning that when you trade up a lot of first-round capital and a lot of draft capital for a quarterback of the future, that quarterback has to be good. They have to play. But, again, everyone is now piggybacking, and they're talking about Jimmy makes his team a championship Super Bowl contending team. But I want to get Shifty's opinion about this. Are the 49ers better with Jimmy Garoppolo, or were they better with Trey Lance?
It's a big question. I think the 49ers are different with Jimmy Garoppolo, that's for sure. Definitely a more traditional Kyle Shanahan-esque type offense. I think, I could understand it. If someone wants to make the argument that week 3 Sunday Night Football, let's say if this was the Super Bowl, would you rather have Trey Lance out there or Jimmy Garoppolo out there? I could see why people would go either way. Are they better? Right. I think Jimmy Garoppolo gives them more options because he's been in the system for 5 years. So you could argue that. I think just the ceiling with Trey is so much higher, though. I think, week 2 or week 1 Trey Lance would look very different to a week 17, playoff Trey Lance. So ultimately, I don't think the team is better with Garoppolo, but I think right this second, the team might have a better chance of winning like this week's game with Garoppolo, just because there's so many different things that you can use. I mean, a lot of these players have been in the system for a long time too. So you can basically go to any play in the playbook with Jimmy. But I think overall, I mean, the team is better with Trey Lance. And because I'm just, I truly believe that Trey Lance will see his potential come through, and then he'll be a much better quarterback, than Jimmy Garoppolo. The team is different for sure, with Garoppolo. But I mean, one thing that you have to like is that, of course, look, the team rallied around him, in that Seattle game. We saw when Jimmy, even though it was pretty much like garbage time, the game was over, but he snuck in, got the touchdown. And I mean, the team was obviously, the team is better. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if the team is better with Garoppolo than Trey Lance, if it's in either or. But I just think at the end of the day, we have to be happy that he's still on the roster because we're definitely better with Garoppolo than with Sudfeld or Purdy. Let's be real.
Mm-hmm. Crazy Jew says Ufunga is a beast, and I will always say Ufunga is a beast because I've been fortunate before he even was a 49er to watch him play at USC, and of course, I'm not the biggest USC fan. I know they have great history. They have won a lot of Rose Bowl, played in many national championship games. We know the history of USC, but Talanoa Funga is a beast. I will agree with that. And of course, again, you and I know, Shifty, that the Samoans here in the Bay Area are so excited about Talanoa Funga. I have a lot of friends from my high school who are Samoans. All of them play football. So, I think you and I have to agree. Yeah, Samoans are always into football. Yeah.
Big time.
All right, Niners. Oh, damn. Dave says, will Kiddo play? That is the question. So it was reported that yesterday and today he was on the practice field, but he did only the individual drills. I don't know if he participated on the 11s. So I still think that George Kittle will be a game time decision. If he is questionable, if they list him on Friday as questionable, it will be a game time decision. So, but George Kittle is really important to the offense. It's really, really important to that offense. All right, David says, what does he say? We should have saved Kittle for the Lambs game. Oh man, we'll see what happens with George Kittle on Sunday, and it's a Sunday night game, so they'll have enough time to decide if they want Kittle to play. Because if the game was like a 1:00 start, but they'll have an extra 3 hours to determine if George Kittle will suit up. Brian says, John Shifty, do you think Kyle will let Jimmy cook? What do you think about this comment from Bryant?
Yeah, I hope so. And it seemed like, he did against the Seahawks. I liked the aggressiveness, throwing the ball down the field. And good things happen when you do that, typically when you have good receivers like Ayuk and Debo. I mean, like, think about it. Again, the Seahawks game, one of my favorite things was that, Ayuk was, definitely covered, but threw it deep to him twice. Well, actually 3 times, but 2 times it resulted in defensive pass interference calls, which gets us huge chunks of yards. The other time he throws it deep to Ayuk, and Ayuk really should have caught the ball on the sideline, but great throw. But I like the aggressiveness because when you have good receivers, it's going to lead to defensive pass interference calls. And then, man, that's just free yardage. Normally we're the team giving up all those defensive pass interferences. So it's good to be on the other side of it too. So I hope we maintain that aggressiveness,
Yeah. What's up, Sergeant Bubbly's in the house? What's up? He says Niners. Oh, damn day. That's right. David says, my birthday, October 3rd. Oh, happy early birthday, man. Happy early. We better beat the Lambs. Yep. I do want to beat the Rams. I really, really want to beat the Rams. Yesterday, for those who did not know, Rudy popped in on Corey Davis's stream. And Rudy, of course, in Rams fashion, we're the best team in the division. So shout out to Rudy. Next week, you know what? I'm going to have Rudy on. You know what? No, Rudy's going to be on this channel because I want him to tell me how great the Rams are. So that will be a fun show. Anyway, Joyce says, all I know is Trey before the injury led 2 drives, which led to field goals. Facts. So Trey was moving the ball. The offense was moving the ball. While Jimmy's drive resulted in a touchdown, the question is, was it the plays in those drives or the quarterbacks? And that's something very interesting. Like, we were moving the ball. Like, Seattle was trash. You know what? Shout out to my boy Steezy. Shout out to Norcam. Shout out to Noah from Squabble says. Shout out to my boy Seahawks Eddie. The Seahawks are trash. They are trash. And I did not think that we even needed our quarterback to throw the ball 50 times. The Seahawks are garbage. Now, let's be serious. When Jimmy got in there, Jimmy was flinging the ball out. He was throwing the ball, flinging it out there. The offense changed. The offense changed. Uh, Debo was incorporated in the pass more. Ayuk was incorporated in the pass more. Ross Dwelly caught that wonderful, wonderful touchdown. Uh, and even though there was one play where Brandon Ayuk dropped the ball, Jimmy was slinging the ball for whatever the reason. And I started to realize something that so when your quarterback, you have confidence for him to throw the football, you're gonna throw the football. But when your quarterback is you're more confident in running the football, which posed a very important question for me. And Kyle said something that he says, if I would have had a Josh Allen, I would do what Josh Allen is doing in Buffalo. That's the same way I would coach him. If I had Lamar Jackson, I will do the same thing that Baltimore is doing and running him 15 times a game. If I had a Tom Brady who was just a pocket, he would do the same thing that he and Jimmy does. Get the ball out quickly, get the ball out quickly. So I'm starting to realize that maybe Kyle is not this quarterback guru that we all thought, because he's just saying, you know what, if my quarterback runs the football, we're going to run the football with the quarterback 20 times. So that's something that is very disgusting, in my opinion. And I don't know if I'm being too harsh on Kyle Shanahan, but he did say it. So basically, like, if we would have Justin Fields, he would do the same thing the Bears are doing: roll out, scramble, throw the football. So that's something that is a big question mark when it comes to how Kyle wants to coach the quarterbacks. And now it makes a lot of sense. Kyle has had pocket passing quarterbacks, so that's why he's done that. When he had RG3, he had that boy running. He had that boy. So now it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. All right. Let's move on to the game for us. Week 3 preview, Broncos versus the 49ers on Sunday Night Football. And first of all, Shifty, how excited are you that every other fan base will be watching us against the Broncos? How excited are you that all the other teams are going to be watching us?
Oh, I cannot wait. It's going to be, I mean, primetime football, Sunday Night Football. That's, to me, that's like the number one like game of the week. You know, Thursday night gets its own thing, of course, and so does Monday Night Football. But I think Sunday Night Football is like, to me, that's like my favorite one when we play prime time, just because, you know, everyone's been watching football all day, and then it's like, okay, let's settle down and then watch the damn 49ers do their thing. So, yeah, I mean, of course, there's a lot of different storylines in this game with Russell Wilson, who's been a longtime rival. You know, some certain players with the 49ers, who are they going to play? George Kittle's a big one. You know, Denver has some injuries too. Seems like maybe Jerry Jeudy might not be, their number one receiver might not be out there. Patrick Surtain is still a little bit dinged up. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, really excited for the game. And this is a big one for the 49ers, you know, and what I'm really happy for too is that some of the players who we know that they're really emerging into big time stars, I think the league is going to get to see that. So Hufanga, you know, I think a lot of people are going to recognize like, wow, this kid is special. And then, you know, other guys who maybe don't get the notoriety, maybe you're, you know, let's say like your Charvarius Wards, your maybe Brandon Ayuk's, who we know they're great players, but now the rest of the league gets to see it too. And I'm really excited too to see some interesting comments. Really excited to see too, you know, we get to go against some former players of ours, you know, DJ Jones and K'Wan Williams. So excited to show them and be like, hey, we're better without you, you know. But it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a lot of fun and hopefully it'd be great. You know, how great would it be in back-to-back weeks if we can go and if we can beat Seattle Seahawks, and then if we can go and beat Russell Wilson? Now that would be special. And then we get the Rams, and to stomp down on them, wow, that would be, as a Niner fan, It doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah. Yeah, my StreamYard's a little bit acting up. That's why. All right, let's go to the comments. Yeah, give me a second. Yeah. I cannot wait for the game myself. So, yeah. All right. Okay. Dang. Something's wrong. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I think a big thing too is just, you know, I have confidence in our coaching staff. You know, the Broncos coaching staff's been under a lot of scrutiny. You know, we're seeing that, you know, D'Amico Ryans is really coming into his own. So I think it's going to be a good game for the 49ers defense. You know, the Broncos have a lot of good players on offense. So we'll see how it goes.
Yep. And I apologize. My StreamYard was a little bit iffy, and then I had a little troublemaker. Yeah, have fun in the chat. Yeah, have fun. But anyway, let's go back and talk 49ers football besides all those little inconveniences. But this game is on Sunday Night Football. It is the standalone game. Every other team and their fan bases are going to be watching this game. And Jimmy Garoppolo is the storyline for the 49ers. His first start in the 2022 season. And a lot of people are going to be keeping their eyes focused. And if Jimmy plays the way we know how Jimmy plays, this is going to be a very conservative matchup, how they game plan and how we play football. But if Jimmy Garoppolo somehow balls out and he's starting to throw the ball deep and taking shots and throwing the ball outside the numbers, you know, so this is the reason why, you know, Jimmy is going to be one of the storylines, you know, and that's going to be a big storyline. But another storyline is what's going on with the Broncos. Like Russell Wilson is averaging barely 59% pass completion. Is the offense not right for him? Is he having trouble? What is going on in with Russell Wilson? So we're going to see Russell Wilson. This is going to be his third game of the season, and if he struggles, and again, this is a more dangerous 49ers team than the Texans and the Seattle Seahawks. This is going to be a very different team. So we all want to know, is Russell Wilson having the early jitters where he's still learning how to play this offensive system? We'll find out. Another storyline is that everyone's going to talk about is Jordan Mason. Like, he's going to get his big shot. He's going to be in the big spotlight. He's going to get some carries. I cannot wait to see what Jordan Mason is going to do. And for the Broncos, DJ Jones and K'Wan Williams returns to their old. No, actually, they're going to host their former team. So there's a lot of storylines to talk about, but those are some of the storylines that I wanted to talk about. All right. Joy says, I really wanted to see Jordan Mason, Danny Gray. Yes, I want to see Danny Gray more. Danny Gray needs to be incorporated with that offense.
I agree with that big time.
All right. Now let's talk about keys to victory, what the 49ers have to do to win the game. Oh, it says Seattle Seahawks. Let me fix that. But Shifty, what are your thoughts? What are the keys to victory for the 49ers to beat the Denver Broncos?
Well, I think kind of like continuing what they were doing against Seattle in terms of Jimmy passing the ball. I think we got to remain aggressive and don't be afraid to throw the ball down the field. Now, of course, if Patrick Surtain is going to be out there, then maybe you reel it in, or maybe you don't target him necessarily because he is a really good young cornerback. Sorry. But overall, I think you got to be aggressive. You know, you'll get either those big plays, or maybe you get some, you know, pass interference calls. But then it opens up things underneath too. So I'm also really looking to see if George Kittle's going to play too. And I think if he is playing, I'd like to see him get involved early and often. We know Tyler Kroft, he's going to be out for a few weeks too. So I think maybe I'm pretty hopeful that Kittle will be there simply because they haven't activated any other tight ends or brought up any other tight ends. So, and the Niners always like to roll with their 3 tight ends on the active roster. So really, really looking forward, and hopefully we'll maintain that aggressiveness on offense. And then defensively, it's like, we have to match up with those receivers, Cortland Sutton, maybe Jerry Jeudy. But we've played some big time receivers, like just last week, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. And, you know, Lockett, he did have over 100 yards, but at the end of the day, I mean, those 100 yards didn't really result in any points. We pretty much held DK Metcalf in check. So having gone against those 2 receivers, the Niners, I think, will be really prepped to go against Sutton and possibly Jeudy as well. I mean, Manuel Mosley and Charvarius have just been awesome so far. The other thing, too, when I watch the Broncos, Javonte Williams, he's a really good running back. And I noticed with him is that a lot of times it looks like defenders maybe have him stopped for a 2-yard gain, and then he breaks the tackle and picks up 10 yards. So really just like, being aggressive, chasing him down, having multiple players there to stop him short. Don't let him break those tackles and get any extra yards. Then force Russell Wilson, because he hasn't looked comfortable in Denver so far. Maybe it's, the new coaching staff or a slightly different scheme or whatnot. But, if we're putting him, if he's already looking somewhat uncomfortable, and then we're putting him in difficult situations, we allow our guys like Bosa, Ebukam, Drake Jackson, Armstead, and everyone else who we have, maybe to make things even more uncomfortable, force some mistakes, come away with the win.
Yeah. David says, woo, can't wait, amigos. So pumped. And I'm always pumped every time the 49ers are playing. No disrespect to the other NFL. They're below us. We're the best franchise in the NFL. Well, who cares about that? So my keys to victory for the 49ers is basically carry the ball. What we've been doing is basically running the football. And that's been the formula the last couple of games. Even though we lost to the Chicago Bears, we controlled how we ran the ball. And as long as we are running the ball, we're going to do really well. And hopefully Jimmy Garoppolo gets a lot of play actions. I want to see the play actions because, again, Trey Lance, no play actions for whatever the reason. And, so it's very rare to see. We need the play action. I don't know why Kyle is insisting to have his quarterbacks, which are not quarterbacks that I just don't get it. I want to see the play actions. On the defensive side of the ball, our defense is good. It's like, for us, it's like there's no weakness on the defense, but one strength of our defense is the linebackers. Greenlaw, Warner, Aziz, those guys are extension of the run game and the pass game. You saw Fred Warner, a great game against the Seahawks, and you can see how he did against the pass game. And you saw, Fred Warner and the linebackers when they're running the football, pressuring them, tackling for loss. That's what the Niners did. So that's the important keys to victory for us. But the biggest thing is that I want to see what Jimmy Garoppolo can do. I think he's going to be a very important factor on to win this game because we have a good team. And as long as Garoppolo is mistake-free and the defense is what they are, we are going to win this game. But, again, just because I'm saying that does not mean it's going to happen. But those are keys to victories, in my opinion. All right. Crazy Juice says, I just want us to win. Yep, agreed. All right. Well, another great show, another fun show to talk about. If you have any questions, drop them in before we go. So if you have any questions, final questions, drop them in the chat. But Shifty, thanks for hopping on again. Looks like I'll see you again Thursday, as that is going to be the schedule for the time being. But Shifty, let the fans know who you are, where they can find you. And this is your 2 minutes, Shifty Sports Talk, Shifty 49ers Talk. This is your 2 minutes.
Thank you, John. Yeah, always a pleasure doing the Candlestick Report. I want to say a shout out to all the people in the comments. A lot of engagement today, which is really good to see. A lot of comments. I think you can tell that everyone is really excited for this Denver Bronco game. For me, for those of you who don't know, 49er content creator, myself and John, we do this show once a week. So far, it's been Thursdays, and hopefully we can keep that day consistently going forward. Love coming on here. For me, I put out videos, usually a couple of videos every week. I will be doing a video previewing this game myself on my channel, which is just Shifty's 49ers Talk. Then I also like to live stream the games, which is a lot of fun. We've had a lot of people come by recently, so that's really cool to see. And it's a really good time on those live streams because for me, and it's all me, just me being me, but I get pretty animated, get pretty heated, when bad plays happen. I get super excited when good things happen. It's just a lot of fun. I really am just super passionate about the 49ers, this team, this franchise. And it's just like John Jay, we love talking 49er football. So it's always a good time. If you like Niners, stop on by, see what you think.
Mm-hmm. All right. So just before we go, I will take a few questions before we end the show. Joy says, I really want to see Trey to be a play extender and not just another running back. Facts. and a lot of people will always get angry, when I say this, and I really do not care no more. Mobile and having the mobility to move in the pocket are very different. That's what Josh Allen does best. He knows how to be mobile in the pocket. And you see a lot of quarterbacks, when they run around, they stay behind the line of scrimmage to use their legs. So you want to see that with play actions. And with the play action, when you play action and you have nothing to pass, it allows you to roll out, survey the field, and if you're able to see open space instead of running between the tackles, you're not going to get hurt. And that's what a lot of quarterbacks do. That's why play action is what you want to see. So I truly agree with that. And definitely our secondary and defense are crucial. True as well, Joey. David says, running the ball, you guys think Mason will see some plays? Yep, 100%.
Yep.
I do see Jordan Mason maybe getting like 7 or 8 touches in this game. Joy says, what are your opinions with our 2 guards with their performance? Yeah, so Aaron Banks apparently had a really, really good grade by PFF. I'm not a biggest fan of PFF, but Aaron Banks has been showing up so far. We'll see how the season goes. Burford still needs some time. He's still young, but he's been looking the best he can for a player who's only been in 2 starts. Crazy Jew says, yeah, I hope our O-line keeps improving. True. And we know this guy. You know this guy. Who's this guy? Oh, yeah, this guy is the Eagles fan. This guy's the Warrior fan. Of course, Shifty, he's a Warrior fan, just like us. He's a Warrior fan.
There we go. I love it.
And he really loves Ohio State. He tells me that on Instagram. He's a huge Eagles fan.
Oh,
but
yeah,
it's always fun.
The Buckeyes, right?
I'm just joking, man. I'm just joking with this guy. What's up, CG? Thanks for tuning in. Anyway, with that said, everyone, thank you for tuning in to the show. But just like always, the show is coming to an end. Shout out to my boy Shifty. But with that said, I'm John Jay, and that's Shifty. This is the 49ers Ultimate Report. You have a good rest of your day. And, of course, go Niners, not the Eagles, CG. I'm just joking, CG.